today.
Hey, Scott, thank you very much. How are the markets today? Well, I can't say it was easy. It just seems like, well, I'll tell you what, let's wait till we take a look at some of the charts here before we get into my opinions on the market. Just want to take a brief moment here to welcome everybody to the Office Hours webinar. Today's April 19th. I'll be your host solo today as my wingman is, I think, burning across the desert back from Utah, back to California. So we'll see Steve later on in the week, but welcome everybody. Before we get rolling here, I just want to take a moment to go over the disclaimer here. Just make sure everybody in attendance is aware of the fact that all the information that we share with you guys in these webinars is for educational purposes only, simply meaning that if you need investment advice, what to buy, when to sell it, all that good stuff, please do yourself a favor and seek out a licensed individual, someone like a registered investment advisor or a Series 7 licensed stockbroker. That way they're legally allowed to dispense, buy and sell information to you in the investment sense. All righty, moving right along here. Just always like to take a little bit of time at the top of the hour, especially for the new people, to let everybody know about the community that we've built up around the TI technology. All kind of starts over here with the trading room hosted by Mr. Barry Anderson. Barry opens up the doors about 30 minutes before every open. It's a great place to be, whether you're brand new to trading, kind of in the middle of the road, or a seasoned pro. People from all skill sets in there. Pretty good crowd typically, and Barry does a fantastic job at moderating the room, not only showcasing the way that he uses the TI tech, but he likes to answer questions as well. So it's a great place to learn. In addition to that, other than Barry, the second best thing about the trading room is the price, which is free. You don't even necessarily have to have an account with TI or be a subscriber yet to get in there and see what the trading room is all about. If you haven't been taking advantage, create a login, get in there and see what that environment is like. I think you'll be pleased. Of course, on the Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern webinar circuit, you get myself and typically Steve Gomez on Mondays. Steve usually takes the helm on Tuesdays for the trade of the week. However, I do believe that one is canceled for tomorrow, so just make a mental note of that. Wednesday rolls around, we like to change it up a little bit. It's always entertaining with the CEO and founder, Mr. Dan Merkin, along with our Chief Operating Officer, I think. I've been quoting him as our Chief Technical Officer, but I think his actual title might be COO. Anyway, not going to worry about that too much just yet. Andy's going to round out the 5 p.m. Eastern slot with the trading studio, and typically I ride shotgun with him. And of course, we've got our daily support webinar, which is Monday through Friday, every weekday, starting at 12 p.m. and going into 1 p.m. Eastern. It's a great place to get your questions answered live from one of the trader/trainer individuals that we have here at the firm. And you get a nice visual with that in real time audio as well. All hosted on YouTube. And the next slide I show you will show you how to get there, just in case you haven't been there yet. Trade-ideas.com, just like our webpage homepage, and then just put a /live, and that'll get you there to the YouTube channel where the video is hosted live each and every day. Once you get there, just bookmark that URL and you go back there each and every time. It is a static address, but the daily support session going from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern every weekday. In addition to that, another great educational resource is our TI University, Beginner 101, 201, Intermediate, and Advanced 401. This is a 4-part video series that is excellent, especially if you're new to the product. It will help you get over that learning curve a lot quicker by watching these videos, getting all the basics under your belt. Then you'll be a lot more prepared to embrace the advanced functionality. Now, all of these videos are available on our YouTube channel. Easiest way to get there, just go to YouTube, search for the Trade Ideas channel, and then you're there. Then you can search our channel individually for these videos or any of the other tons of videos that we have posted there about trading and Trade Ideas Pro. There he is. Hey, what's going on, Mike? Good to see you as always. All right, here we are for today's agenda. hit the old escape button and let's just take a peek here. Well, we finally got that little pullback day, emphasis on little. Of course, my technical prowess is not near what Andy's and Steve's is, but looking here from the breakout that occurred back on the 1st of April, you can see what we've done here. We've just went up, up and away. Finally on Friday, put in that little doji right there, which is always going to tell us, well, something interesting is going to happen. We could continue higher or we might take a little pullback. And of course, we got that little pullback today. Now, not a lot of days developed here thus far, so we can just kind of see here, you know, not even being as technically proficient as Steve and Andy, my eyes are drawn to this level right here. Okay, if we open up tomorrow, get a little bit of selling coming in, not only are we going to just kind of gyrate back down to these few days that could act as potential support, but look what we got coming up right here. We got the 10 period moving average. Wouldn't surprise me at all if we do see some selling to just kind of take a little excursion down here, test that 10 period out along with these prior few days here, and see if we might bounce off of that area right there, build a little sideways momentum, and see what we have in store. So not a lot from just not a lot of potential alternatives at this point. We're either going to belly back up, test that high, or come back down to those little pink dots that I just put on there, possibly test that 10 period average moving forward. Now, not a whole lot of volume today. As we can see, SPY closed just right at normal for relative volume, as you can see over here for my indice top list, 1.04, nothing to write home about. Interestingly enough, all the other ones, the Qs, only coming in at 0.69. Let's just take a little look at the Qs real quick here. And we've got, Qs kind of leading, getting back down to this area, putting in that tester at the 10 before the SPY does so as well. So to see the SPY do that tomorrow would not be that big of a surprise. And that's about all I got for the market commentary. I mean, nice and simple. It is what it is. So we'll just have to see what tomorrow brings. Of course, futures gonna open up in about 50 minutes here. We'll see what they have to say. Let me get my cheat sheet pulled back up here. Now, a little tell this morning, my favorite window to kind of get a bead on what the market might be doing. My favorite compare count window, which is looking at stocks hitting highs, stocks hitting lows with a market cap of 4 billion or higher with a little bit of that accelerated 1 minute volume in the first 15 minutes. This is what I got today. And of course, for me to get excited in the least bit, I need to see that bias above 55%. Of course, the higher it is above 55%, the more credence I paid to it, or I paid to it. But here we had a pretty weak upward count here, 53%. So right after the first 15 minutes, I'm just telling myself, well, another day just under all-time highs. I think we're probably going to see some good shorts. We're going to see some good longs. But follow through is going to be another thing. And when we get into some of the trades that we're going to look at today, that's going to be quite obvious. Just it's getting difficult out there, ladies and gentlemen. Breakouts that were occurring and going, flip a coin right now, patterns that look exactly the same. One will go, one will not. Shorts are popping up here and there that go. Shorts are popping up here and there that don't go. So right now, as far as swing trading goes, it's been a little bit difficult of an environment since we got back to all-time highs. Myself, including a lot of the traders that I know here and elsewhere, have basically resorted to scalping because of the uncertainty and the non-follow through that we're seeing right here. And of course, we all know that day trading, scalping is the harder of the disciplines when it comes to trading. But right now, it just seems that once you get in the money on a lot of things, I'm not saying there's no follow through, but just not like we've been seeing in the past. So it's a stick and move market right now. All right. So let's get on back to the agenda here. So we had that smidge of a gap down. We had weakish compare counts, even though it was slightly bullish. Obviously, didn't really matter to the market today because after the first 30 minutes, or excuse me, 45 minutes here on the intraday on the 15-minute, once we broke that little level, boom, 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 down she went. Got a little bit of a recoup at the close, but nothing like what we've been seeing as of late. Now, of course, the AI, Holly, let's go ahead and take a look how the AI performed today. Yeah, Greg, I see your question there. Looks like Scott already answered it. E-Trade is available in our latest beta download. Just keep in mind, anybody that is going to use E-Trade, still in debug mode, found a couple of more little bugs today with my adventures with the E-Trade version of Brokerage Plus. So just keep in mind, are still a few bugs in there if you choose to use the E-Trade Brokerage Plus available in our beta download. Okay, back to Holly here. As we can see, here are all of the Holly trades that were produced today. If we take a peek over here at the channel bar, let's see. Well, I scrolled down and didn't mean to. There we go. All right, so last week, Holly 2.0 and 1.0 kind of remained kind of silent, making an attempt to come back in and get active again. 1.0 coming in with 2 signals, 2.0 only kicking out 1 for a flat, and Neo, of course, never to be outdone, being the most aggressive of the trio, kicks out 5 trades. And if we look at the profit count over here, assuming 100 shares per trade, we get a pretty fat total over here. All right, but of course, my blotter is not taking 100 shares per trade. I am instead risking $100 per trade. And for any new folks out there that might be wondering, well, how do I set up my AI to do what Jamie just said, risk $100 per trade? Well, we come over here to tools, we click on options, we go to AI trade size, and then here's where we can set it. If we wanted it to mimic what we saw over here in the toolbar, well, we just set it on 100 shares per trade, or we could allocate a certain dollar per trade, dollar amount per trade, or the current mode that I'm running in is risk based on stop loss. In other words, only want to risk about $100 a trade. So once you put that in play, then the AI is going to size you accordingly based on the stop that is issued for each and every trade. So that's what you're looking at right here. So CGA, this thing has been on my radar, well, for a while now. We can tell over here from the daily, once we broke out of this little range, this thing has just been on fire. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th consecutive day up, assuming we count this little doji as an up day there. But this thing's just been on fire. Of course, it's a Chinese company, China Green Agriculture. Let's see what their market cap is here. 107 million. Okay, so definitely one of the smaller cap stocks, but hey, a mover is a mover. Look at this relative volume that it finished with today, almost 30. Certainly nothing to sneeze at there. But not a bad entry, coming pretty close after the open today. We take a peek over here at the entry time, about 9 minutes and 6 seconds into the open for the AI signal. And this thing just, hey, immediate gratification. Always like to see that. Not a lot of stocks doing that here lately, but not a bad entry signal. Very close, 9 minutes into the open there at 1320, and then it just never looked back. Couple of things to point out here. We did have a decent add-on area once we hit this little top right here. Took a little pullback, established a little range here. So first off, let's talk about conservative versus moderate spread. Now, the AI hit that profit target pretty quick here, and that's why the trade was closed. But just like any other exit signal, could be a reduced risk or a profit save. A lot of the times there might be some more left in that trade. We can tell right here, as soon as that profit target was hit, took a little bit of a pull. Well, it ran on up to, let's see here, what was that level? Profit target at 1438, nothing to sneeze at. But then promptly traded on up to 1562 before taking a pullback right down to this 10 period. Notice how the 10 period was in control. hit this little area of consolidation right here. So whether you took that money with Holly, and actually it was in this candle right here, then the following candle ran a significant bit more. But whether you took the profit with Holly or kept a little bit, as we consolidated throughout the day, whether we marked off, and I marked them both off, candle bodies or the wicks, this little range right here would have been a nice opportunity to add to those, or maybe even re-enter the trade as this level right here was breached, or the true high of the day in that wick was breached. And then we got a nice little bit more follow through here. So this thing was just on fire today, topped out on this candle right here at 1773. So 1320 up to 1773, not a bad play for Holly. But with that profit target getting hit, 8.96%, nothing to sneeze at, but almost a triple here by taking a little bit more risk and staying in the trade. So some very nice spread there between conservative and moderate profit, which is something that we haven't seen a lot of here lately. Okay, as we can see right here as well in K and L, a little bit of spread between conservative and moderate profit, but I would be remiss if I didn't point out that this was a dual signal today. K and L down here and K and L here. Now, the first K and L signal here, coming 5 minutes after the open. And by the way, this was a buyout play, which I was a little surprised to see the AI hitting it, but hey, it happens. Not only did it hit it once, it tried it 2 different times. So we got the buyout, we got the big gap up in KNL, and you can see right here after the first attempt, and I could stretch this out a little bit, but we're just not going to get that much more detail with that that type of action. First signal stopping out pretty quickly here, 8:35, and then within the same 5-minute block, we get a stop out. Then later on, about not quite an hour later, we get the second signal from pullback long. First one was the breakout, failed, stopped us out. And then we got a pullback long, pullback long in the second one here, which worked in moderate profit mode, okay? Therefore, the reduced risk, not such a timely exit. We can see the shaded area over here. As soon as Holly closed it out, then we started gravitating back up to where you see there going into the close. So you could call this a second mouse trade, you know, been there many times before, looks good, you get stopped out, goes back through, and it works the second time. And that's kind of exactly the way it played out today. The second mouse got the cheese. Stop out, we could call this a trade around as well. Let's just expand this chart out just a smidge here. And we can see that first candle, the first trade, wick below the stop area and then right back up again. But after that first wick stop out right there, not a whole lot of dancing around that stop area till later in the day. 22.79, the low of that candle right there was 22.79. So, you know, just kind of a perilous little trade there. When these tight ranges show up like this in a buyout, typically, you know, unless it really breaks down, tend to shy away from them. But the AI saw a little statistical arbitrage in there and took a whack at it, lost on one, made on the other, so pretty much a wash on the KNL signal for today. Clear those lines out here. And what else is there to talk about with Holly today? Oh yeah, HAE. Once again, a stop was hit relatively quickly. As we can see, entry time 8:36, exit time 8:38. This was another quick stop out, but this one is a little bit different here, okay? Notice our stop area was, I think, 89.61, so that was roughly a buck. Yeah, roughly a buck and change. I want to say $1.40 or something. I can't see my number there because it's a little clogged up. But as soon as we get into the trade, we get stopped out at the little red line there, but then check out the next 15-minute candle when it opens. So typically a decent looking trade around is something that just wicks us out, very similar to what we see right here. How does the stock then react to that stop area? Quick little excursion above, next candle well below it, then it never saw the light of day. So from a classical trade around standpoint, this kind of fits the bill here. Quick stop out, opening candle below that stop area. And then you can see here, after this candle right here, it never even thinks about gyrating back up to that stop area. So whether you were in this one initially, got the stop out, or whether you just saw Holly. And by the way, once again, it's always a good idea. Anytime you see the AI get stopped out, keep an eye on that stock, see how it reacts around that stop area. Does it just wick through? Does it come back? Or does it spend an exorbitant amount of time outside of the stop area, in which case it's not a very good trade around candidate. But clearly this one acting as a pivot level, and some pretty good change left on the table by the AI. But if we were trading it as a trade around, then that becomes accessible to us. Just a beautiful down move for the rest of the day. But you had to be aware of the stop area, see how it reacted, and then if you got into it in this candle right here, stop would have kept you in. Even the original entry level, which is the blue line right there, would have kept you in that trade for the day. All right, see some questions popping in here. Another AI related question. Okay, Greg, enable all the strategies, but very few trades happen. Now, when you say very few trades happen, I don't know if you're meaning, I mean, obviously we had 5, 6, 8 trades happen today. Now, maybe that means you're not getting filled if you are automating those trades, which would lead me to kind of question your orders that you're putting in. If you're not getting fills, it would make me think that you're not running market orders, but you probably would be using limit orders. And when we use limit orders, depending on how aggressive we might be with our, what we call the delta, that could dictate whether or not you're getting filled. So if you want to chime in there, Greg, and let me know if you're talking about fills or trades, then I might be able to dive down a little bit deeper in that towards the end here if we have time. Strategy trades didn't show me entry times and exit times. And what window would you be referring to there, Hamlet? Your trades, your strategy trades, or Holly trades? And if you're talking about entry and exit times, are you talking about the chart up here? Entry times, exit times, or perhaps you just didn't have these columns displayed if you're referring to the AI. So we can circle back around to those. So just pretty lackluster day with Holly, unless you were able to capitalize on the HAE trade there, which was a short, which is interesting that the biggest winner of the day today from Holly was in the form of a short. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as you've been hearing myself and Steve and Andy talk about frequently here lately, the market is getting tough, okay? All the easy money from the bounce off of the bottom from March of last year seems to be done. And as we get into these new highs and take these little pullbacks, not only does it get harder to find trades that continue, but it gets a little bit harder for the AI to find that statistical edge as well. What we would need here from the markets is a few days of sideways action within this range, give the AI a little bit of time to get some useful data to crunch and identify patterns. So, we'll just have to see what happens moving forward. But as I said earlier, wouldn't surprise me at all to see a little retracement here. And if that occurs, maybe we will get a little inside action here, but we'll just have to see here. So Hamilton, that is quite the name. If your Holly trades aren't showing the entry and exit times, that just makes me think that you don't have these columns available. And all you have to do here is right click and select columns. And these are the ones that I'm currently showing in the AI blotter here. And if you don't see the column that you want, you just find it over here, push it over to the left side. Now, having said that, if you're a new user, it is easy sometimes to get the strategy panel confused with the strategy trades panel, okay? But once you get the strategy trades panel pulled up, if you don't have the entry and exit time columns, then once again, it's just a right click, go to columns, and then you can add and subtract columns accordingly by pushing ones you want to see over to the left. And if you want to delete one, you just push it back over to the right. And just bear with me here, ladies and gentlemen, since I'm alone today, I want to keep up with the questions panel. So give me a second here. Da-da. And yeah, Chip, if you're talking about basic setup on Trade Ideas Pro in general, I don't know if you're here for the intro, but the Trade Ideas University video series is a great place to be, or a great place to go. I'll just pull this slide back over, and if you go to our YouTube channel, find the Trade Ideas YouTube channel and type in TI University, you're going to find this 4-part video series. Should help you out pretty quickly here. A lot of good info in there. All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about things that I saw working today, okay? Those of you who attend on the regulars know that one of my favorite patterns is just a good old-fashioned opening range break due to the simple nature of the pattern, okay? They started to resurface a little bit last week, and with those weak opening counts that I saw today and, with a little bit of downside draw, I thought we might see a lot more downside range breaks that were conducive, but man, they're just it's just hard to find anything that didn't just rip down on the open. And of course, when we're looking for these things, we need some nice consolidation areas for about, I don't know, could be 15, 30, 45 minutes. But it appears today that a lot of the things that were coming through look very similar to this. We just had a lot of downside draw and not a lot of time for things to consolidate with any room left in there. So, just pulled up SGBX at random here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. First hour and 15 minutes down. Now we did get consolidation after that, but nowhere to go since that point in time. So out of all the symbols that were coming through this alert window today, which is what I like to watch for those opening range breaks, I could only find about 2 that met the pattern that I like. And the first one on the block was this guy right here. Of course, when they come out quickly, we got to go back and just have enough bars to look at to even decipher, is it an opening range break? And as you can see right here, we got this one about 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, about 30 minutes into the open, okay? So we had the high put in up here. We did have that opening 5-minute bar pretty hairy, but then we got, something conducive here in the form of a little bounce, 5, 10, 15, 20, got some type of range there to look at and identify. And then right here, we had the breakdown, okay? As soon as that low was penetrated, not the prettiest consolidation area, but this is what the market is giving right now. Didn't see a whole lot of sideways consolidations here, but nonetheless, it is a decent 30-minute opening range break. Alert coming right as we penetrated this area here, and we did get some downside motion, okay? So the way you assess risk on these things is you look back, not including the entry candle, which is this guy right here with the blue arrow, right? That's our entry candle as this level was broken. To assess risk, we look back 15 minutes, not including the entry bar. So that's 1, 2, and 3. The highest point of that prior 15-minute look back is that wick right up there. So that's where we get our risk, okay? Now, the trade did work. Had to sit a couple of wiggles here, which is never a lot of fun. But it eventually did work, and we see our reward zone is pretty fat and juicy here. All right, we could put risk in there probably close to 4 times there, okay? So a nice 4R potential on this. Of course, nobody typically ever covers at the bottom. We get a little doji right here, which might have made us think, hey, the party might be over. Get a nasty wick up here, get a little bit more consolidation before the thing breaks down one more time. And of course, this doji right here on the 5-minute did signal a little upturn. So not the prettiest one on the planet, but it does fit the bill, and some nice percentage movement from that HRZN in the finance industry. Let's just take a peek here. Entry signal coming right about 1676, bottoming out at 1552, so a little over a point and change on that one. Ooh, we got some questions piling in here, so give me a second here while I take a peek here. Okay, yes, Greg, that was the E-Trade Brokerage Plus commercial. Hamlet, we have addressed your question. I downloaded the beta, but it doesn't work. So Hamlet, just to clarify there, when you download the beta, you're telling me the Holly trades aren't functioning? And it's reading your question as well, Greg. Been using Interactive Brokers account with AI, but Greg, no. And the question was to the tune of, at Interactive Brokers, when we use Brokerage Plus, you have to have a data plan in order for things to work properly. With E-Trade, the data is free if you have a funded account. So with E-Trade, it's a little bit more simple to connect, but you do not need a data plan with E-Trade. And yes, Jim, before we are done today, I will drop these two windows into the chat panel for you, so you can have these cloud links and watch these guys for some range breaks to the up and the downside. Other than Horizon today, the only other decent one I saw was this one here, looking very similar. Decent little gap up in the FSTX today. Quick capitulation down, got a little chop right here, put in the low. And then of course, right about here, about 35 minutes into the open, we did have the breakdown occur. This one kind of acting nasty here, throwing us a little elbow as soon as the shorted this level right here. Once again, looking back at the prior 15 minutes, 1, 2, 3. This line up here is our risk. This whole area right here is our risk. Not as much our risk to reward as we saw in the HRZN, but still not too shabby. Could probably fit this risk area about 2.5 times into the reward area here. But very similar. You know, we got the little area of consolidation here. We get the breakout occur right here. Once again, it throws a little elbow to start the party, about halfway to our risk level. But then it finally relents and it takes a little header down. So entry time on this one, roughly 10:30, bottoming out around 9:57. So nothing to write home about, but a good percentage move nonetheless, with some decent follow through here. And of course, while these things are occurring, you know, if we want to get a good idea of how much room might be in it, we can always just kind of consult the daily here and see where it might stop, something to act as potential support. On the horizon here, man, a wick down just shy of this level right here, ran out of steam right here, wicked back up. Try to reclaim that 10 period. So it's going to be interesting moving forward to see if this guy can catch it. All right, and that's about all I had from the short side. Now from the long side, it was even a little bit more bleak as far as decent things, decent candidates that fit the mold. This is really the only kind of A+ setup I saw on the upside version of the opening range, okay? Not the thickest stock in the world, but plenty of shares kicking through it today on IMH, kicking out about 660,000 shares. And we did have some decent relative volume, finishing just shy of 4 on the relative scale here. Not the biggest float either, but when we have big volume coming into low float stocks, well, you can get some moves here. So typically thinner, more thinly traded stock. But check out what we had also going on the daily as well. A little breakout from that level right there. So this one's set up pretty nice. Once again, looking at the 5-minute candles here, top was put in initially, the gap, come down here and put the low up, and we slowly grind back up to here. And as that thing is popping out of that range, we get the alert right here. So our risk level is here. A little bit smaller of a stock, but hey, a move is a move. So entry signal coming right about 210 and topping out right about 234. So not a bad percentage move on little IMH. Once again, our risk level here, and we could put that risk level into the reward level, probably about 3.5, 4 times there. So not a bad risk to reward ratio on IMH. But other than that, every other symbol coming through here, too stretched out. Okay, so it's getting harder and harder to find the patterns that I like to find. It's getting a little bit more difficult for the AI, and breakouts, flip a coin. It seems like the smaller cap stocks here lately, like barbecue, I guess barbecue is in play because this thing has been on fire since it broke out from 802, ran all the way up to 1552. Looks like the party was over, but nope, it's given it another push up. This one would have been a sweet setup today. Unfortunately, it did not trigger because for some reason or another, the volume wasn't accompanying this move right here. So a nice little opening range break accompanied with some good momentum on the daily, but didn't come through my alert today. Just missed it a little bit. And that's about all I got for the ORBs today. And we've got one more window to fall back on today. Okay, so let me catch up on these questions here, and then we'll talk about finding stocks on support. Let's see here. And once again, yes, Jim, I'll drop that window in. Henry, the question area doesn't work today. Okay, the questions panel. I hope that's what you're referring to there. And to your point, Shanta, sorry I'm late. Could you please show the P&L of the AI trading at different risk levels, conservative, aggressive, etc.? Sure, let's do that real quick here before we move on to the support top list window. Okay, so as we can see right here with my all trades blotter that I have up for the AI, we can show the columns for the different risk modes: conservative, moderate, and aggressive. Okay, so the differences between conservative profit and moderate, obviously conservative being the most conservative of the trio, there are 5 reasons why the AI will close a trade. And of course, we can always see the exit reason over here, but the 5 reasons are: a profit target was hit, a stop loss was hit, a timed hold expired in which the AI would exit. And then we've got 2 other things that I like to refer to as audibles in conservative mode that will give the AI the opportunity to close out either a winner or a loser early. And those manifest in the reduce risk or profit save mode. Just gives the AI the opportunity to close those out early. And these are kind of modified trailing stops, okay? So 5 reasons why the AI will close the trade out in conservative mode. In moderate mode, only one thing comes into play: a stop loss. If the stop loss is triggered, it stops out. Otherwise, it will hold the trade for the duration of the timed hold, which these days we can see right here for all of the strategies. For example, all the strategies that made the cut for today's trading, 15 minutes until the close, and a few of these are 10 minutes until the close, okay? So once again, moderate profit, only using a stop loss. And lastly, aggressive profit is simply showing you what would happen if you took every trade, or on a trade by trade basis, didn't use any risk parameters, no stop losses, no profit targets. It's just showing you what would happen. Aggressive mode, no risk management. Okay, if you just bought it, hold it till the timed hold expired. Now, as far as the difference in profits for today, if I come down here to my strategies panel and I click on conservative, okay, operating in conservative mode today, risking $100 per trade, we would have lost or been down approximately $235. This does not include commissions or slippage. If we were running in moderate profit mode today, we would have come in 233 in the green. Once again, this does not include any commission or slippage. And if we were just buying and hoping, well, it would have worked today, okay? Mainly because of the large profit in HAE after the stop out occurred, okay? So keep in mind, aggressive sometimes is going to kick out some huge returns. On the other side of that coin, it can have some very large losing days as well. So while we don't recommend or just advocate that people jump in there and just say, well, let's see what happens before the day's out, um, risk management is a thing, okay? You always want to have some type of stop loss in play. That's what they're for. If we bet and we're wrong, we have to take some type of stop loss into account. But those are the differences between the three between the three risk management modes: conservative, moderate, and aggressive. So Chantal, I hope that illuminates that topic for you. And yes, well, I'm not even going to try to pronounce your name. I'll just call you Ran for now instead of butchering your name. But yes, the stock detail window, single stock window, a very handy little window here. And everything that you see on the screen here is definitely part of the Trade Ideas suite. And let's see, one more question from Greg. Yes, Greg. And, to the tune, we don't make aggressive profit available when you're setting up your AI strategy trades and automation for that specific reason. I will pop into the AI strategy tab here, and this is what he's referring to. Okay. I pop over to the Holly AI tab. Of course, these are all deactivated right now. But if I right click, you see we have the option to set up our long trading and short trading instructions. When I go into edit long, when we go to AI trade mode, we have moderate and conservative, okay? Just as a safety precaution, because you go aggressive, you don't realize you put it on aggressive, next thing you know, you're having a bad day. However, just keep in mind, circling back around to what I said about the way that moderate profit works, if I did launch the AI in automation mode and I use moderate profit, what's it going to do? It's going to put the trade on for me. It's going to send the order out. If the trade is filled, it's going to put in the stop loss. So if you really had a bee in your bonnet to operate in aggressive mode, in essence, all you'd have to do is go into your order tab and cancel the stops as the trades were set, as the trades were executed and your stops went in. If you really had to be in aggressive mode, all you would have to do is cancel your stops and voila, you're in aggressive mode. So that's the workaround for that if you're really adamant about no stops. Yeah, no problem, Greg. And let's see here. And Shantha, to your question, which is, have you back tested different risk level AI trades for different types of markets? No, but that's what the AI is doing regardless of the risk mode, because we never know which risk mode is going to win the day, um, for obvious reasons. But all of the strategies that you see here in the strategy panel, let's count them up today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 strategies made the cut for today. These are part of a core of strategies. And on any given day, the AI is always adding and subtracting a few, but let's just say the core base strategy count is 35 to 40 strategies that the AI has, and we'll analyze and backtest and attempt to optimize after each and every close, okay? And we've got a proprietary scoring system, and it's only after all the optimization and backtesting is done, the strategies that meet the bare minimum on our proprietary scoring system are the ones that are going to make the cut for the next trading session. So that's how the AI strategy selection works. As far as which risk mode is going to win the day, that is unknown. We never know until the day occurs. All right, we got just enough time, ladies and gentlemen, to talk about this window right here, support, okay? When the market is this tricky, a lot of people I know are going to support plays for their simplicity and just what we see on the charts here. Now, this window that we're going to be talking about, support plays top list right here. Got to give Michael Noss the credit where credit is due. He created this very simple little support top list that you see right here. All right. I'll make sure I drop it into the chat panel. And before I move on to this next topic, first, I'm going to drop these in so that anybody that wants to watch these for the range breaks can do so. There's one for the upside. Here's one for the downside. So those two windows have now been dropped into the chat box, and I'll drop this top list in here before we conclude. But it is what it is, support. Now, not all of these are going to look real pretty, but hey, that's the case for most windows. We have to cycle through these things to figure out which ones appeal to us. But when we come to a good one, it's just going to jump out at us. Okay, IDEX not so bad. You know, look at the little kind of doji candle matching up with this area right here that could act as support. Not the best, but not the worst either. Okay, BTGN clearly cycling down, forming this little doji candle here. Well, my pointer won't work. There we go. Little doji candle right there, which is always indicative of a move. So the cool thing about these is our downside risk is clearly identifiable, right? Notice how the swing exit is right there as well, helping us figure that out, okay? Now, as I cycle through these, some are going to look a lot juicier than others, but even this XLRN, notice what it did at this crucial level here. This little area of chop going back months and months and months, wicking right below it, closing above it. But there are, okay, NMR, not the most liquid thing on the planet, but still doing its thing. CASA, not looking too bad here. 2 wicks down to this swing stop level. Once again, some of these are going to be at all-time lows or testing prior areas of potential support. But you know, whether it's this one or anything else, our downside is clearly visible here. We don't have to sit here and draw a bunch of lines, right? It is what it is. So these have been working quite well in this market. You just have to scroll through and pick out the ones that appeal to you. When we see these wicks and these dojis, those are good signs. TCS not looking too bad here. But when you see something like this and you see it matching up perfectly with our swing exit, and then you look back here and go, well, it is possible, you know, if we break these levels right here, these wicks might come into play. But we've got 2 little nice areas here, right? And this is just one that I picked at random here. Initial downside limit here, maybe this is an add-on right here, because these things might take several days to resolve and either go back up and test or test that stop limit. But lots of stocks on this list, ladies and gentlemen. iPod, not looking too bad. And this appears to be one where we're seeing the entire day history here. So this is all-time lows. Let's test it out. Let's go back and look at weekly. And indeed, that is the case. When I see limited amounts of trading data telling me that this is a relatively new stock, always want to go anchor that VWAP by clicking up here, anchoring to the first day. No big surprise that we're way up here as far as an anchored VWAP on the weekly. What would it look like if we went back to the daily? Let's see, iPod, erase it, go back here, anchor to that first day of trading, way up there. Now, sometimes we can anchor to, say, the high and see if we get a little bit different read here. And once again, this is only for stocks that have limited trading data, or if we're anchoring to a substantial, you know, high, low, gap, something like that. And once again, we're going to see it way above there. Just kind of threw that in because we did have limited trading data there. But as you scroll through these, obviously you're going to see some that are a lot tighter than others. So those are probably the ones that you want to focus on with the clearly definable ranges. All right, RTP, another one that has limited trading data. So stop loss is clearly identifiable here. Sometimes these grind up. A lot of the times, as of late, we've had some significant gap ups as well. Let's see, or you get the big spikes like what you had right here on RMO. A couple of other ones behaving like this in the past. So it's always nice if you find some of these, they're flattening out and you get that big pop. But the good news is risk is easily identifiable, and if you pick the right ones, you don't have to take a lot of risk. Okay, ladies and gent, we are butting up against the top of the hour here, so let me go ahead and throw this one in the window as well. And by the way, before I drop this one into the window, keep in mind, whether it's relative volume or options volume, this can help you keep tabs on which ones are doing the big volume for the day. Options volume is always a good indicator, and we could resort by relative volume as well. So which one you pick to sort by is kind of up to you. Why not do both, right? So without further ado, I will drop this into the chat panel. And it's that time of day where we bring Scott in to let everybody know how they can save some money on a new sub or a new subscription. Real quick here, Greg, before we conclude, I saw your next question here. Can you please tell me more about somebody knows something in the options window? Now, are you referring to one of the options windows from the option channel, Greg? Or this window that I have here in the options channel? Let's see here. If I can find it. All right, let's just pop over there real quick. Give you a little breakdown on what this thing's doing real quick here. You know, it's just a play on words, right? If the options volume is high, then the shtick is somebody must know something. So in that particular window, it's looking for 2 times normal options volume today. All right, so both in contracts, percentage value, 200 being 2 times normal, and at least 200 contracts. But I would say that this is really where the juice comes from, because 100 is normal, and we're asking for 2 times normal options volume in that specific window. So just a little play on words there about the high options volume. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for popping in here. Scott's going to walk us out. Be nimble, be quick for the remainder of the week, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. A couple announcements. We're having our 2-week test drive starting May 10th. So it goes May 10th to May 21st. You can sign up. You get complete access to premium trade ideas, all the features, extra support, all that good stuff for 2 weeks. Don't miss out. We do charge for that because of the data and the extra support, but there's no obligation. It does not start a new subscription or anything. Just sign up, tradeideas.com/test drive. Remember, it starts May 10th, so don't sleep on that. It's one of our most popular events. We've also got a new ebook from our software development director, Dave Mabe. It's got his favorite strategy indicators, and some cloud links are in the PDF. So go ahead and download that, tradeideas.com/strategy, and see how the guy that created Holly uses our strategy indicators. As a podcast, we just released a new episode a week or a week and a half ago, so go ahead and check that out. It's got an interview with David Etheria, one of our managing partners. Just search for Trade Ideas Podcast, add us as a subscription, and enjoy the new episodes as they come out. Check out the archives too. There's a code opportunity. Go ahead and use that before we swap it out for a new code at the end of the month. Just use that when you check out, and you save 15% off any subscription or upgrade. The recording of this will be available on our YouTube channel later on tonight or tomorrow. If you have any questions, email info@tradeideas.com. That's the best place to email your questions because it goes into our help desk software, so it doesn't get lost, and we route it to the appropriate team member to answer that question accurately. You can also find Jamie on Twitter at Quantbot. Steve Gomez is TI Steve G. Also have @TradeIdeas, and if you check those out. You'll find some other handles from our other team members. So thanks, Jamie. Have a good one. I'll get that recording up soon.
Yep. Thank you, Scott. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on the flip side. Bye-bye.